All right, we're gonna start the day off with a Reddit thread that was posted a few days ago, but I haven't gotten to it yet. And this is from Mad Yordle on the r/Star Citizen Reddit, and the title is "Star Citizen is building an economy." Let's stop right there. They're not. That punishes producers and rewards griefers. And I'm like, okay. Let's see what this is all about. So this was sent to me that, that it would be a good react on the stream today. We'll see if it is. I haven't read this at all yet. Several sandbox MMOs have already fallen into this trap. In Last Oasis, solo players and small groups were constantly preyed upon by larger clans, causing miners and traders to quit and the economy to collapse. Fair, honestly. Are kind of fair, because it was very much a Zergfest in Last Oasis, and that was I think Last Oasis was one of the coolest games ever. Atlas suffered similarly, with mega clans controlling the map, raining everything, and driving away productive players. Darkfall Online, and I played Atlas 2. It did feel like the same thing was happening, but also Atlas had a really horrible launch. Darkfall Online's hardcore full loot PvP destroyed the experience for new players. I never played that one, who repeatedly lost gear in progress. Even Arcage's early trade routes were nearly impossible for casual players, forcing developers to add safe zones and balance risk. Only games like EVE Online have managed, now I know why you sent me this, games like EVE Online have managed to sustain both productive players and PvP engagement by making piracy risky and giving economic consequences to attackers. That's not exactly true. The reason EVE Online has managed to sustain productive players and PvP engagement is because the donut, it's because of the players more than it is because of the developers, I think. Eve Frogs in chat, you correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea of that nullsec is safer than low and high sec at times, specifically, definitely safer than low sec, and at times safer than high sec. That is the reason why I think players are still able to be productive. I'm able to create things and make money very easily at the highest levels that I can, at least, without nearly any risk. Very, very little risk because of jump bridges and ansiplexes and all sorts of things, the tools to get around your safe space without being attacked very much by other players. We have, what is it called? I would have to log in to see it because I'm so tired right now. The chat that tells you, like, if enemies are in your space and what systems they're in, so you know, is it on my route that I'm going? Is it not? So a lot of why EVE manages to balance the two is because there is safe space, technically, and there is not safe space. So it allows for both to exist, but you can exist solely in the safe space without ever having to come out of it, whether it's high sec or low sec, or excuse me, whether it's high sec or null sec. And then wormholes and low sec are like the psychopaths that are just like super engaged with the game, pirate craziness, and doing all the cool stuff with the game, to be honest. Right now, lawful gameplay feels like the riskiest way to play the game. Miners, traders, salvagers, and other PvE players can lose hours of work in seconds. That's bullshit, number one. Only if you're an idiot. While the people attacking them often get risk very little. That's true. They did address this on SCL, though, right? That they want ships to attack. Like, if you get attacked around Crusader L1, for example, which is the likely places that we're going to get attacked in 4.7. Eventually, unfortunately not now, eventually it's going to be like High Second Eve, where they're going to attack you. So like the guy's saying that EVE Online managed to do this. Well, the security systems that they're putting in place are like the security systems in EVE, but even like less open, right? Less opportunity for it to become like Eve, especially because you don't really lose anything. You just lose a little bit of ore that you found. And it won't take hours for you to find the ore. Just play the PTU. You can tell. These examples show that when producers of an economy are punished and attackers are rewarded, the game world collapses. Exactly the pattern Star Citizen risks repeating. It risks repeating it, but I don't think it's going to. I don't think it's going in that direction. I just wouldn't agree with this post. But there is no risk to PvPers right now, but it's also just an alpha right now. So it's like, I would agree if we were much closer to launch, but because we're still so far away, this post has the opportunity to be feedback and not be like, oh, doom and gloom, the sky is falling. How is HiSec and Eve enforced? Never played it. Exactly what Star Citizen wants to do. If you commit a crime in a high security area, or in Eve, a high security system, boom, jump in. UEE security forces come in and just blast you. And you're just toast. And it happens within seconds. And what EVE Online players do, which makes HiSec kind of dangerous at times, is they will look and they will say, you are a big cargo hauler. You are a target. I am going to log into 30 accounts and get enough damage to kill you before the security kills me. And I think you're going to drop enough loot that all the ships that I lost, all the money I lost buying those ships, building those ships, whatever, will be replaced by the loot you have. So they do this math equation. Star Citizen isn't like that. You don't really gain from the ship. You're not gaining that much from what the person dropped. And you maybe gain some more. We'll see how that plays out, what the value of that is. But yeah. So right now, lawful gameplay feels like the riskiest way to play the game. And I don't agree with that. The usual response to this criticism is higher escorts, but that argument falls apart the moment you look at the numbers. Escort players charge far more per hour than a typical miner or trader can realistically earn. You don't know that with 4.7, but who hires them? It's stupid. It's a waste of time. They're just sitting around. That's dumb. What you need to be able to do is call friends in and survive long enough that they can help you. I've talked about this plenty of times before. On top of that, that's a thing that happens in EVE Online, by the way. On top of that, escort gameplay is mostly waiting around and doing nothing. Yeah, that's why you don't hire an escort. Not because they cost a lot per hour. It's because it's just dumb for the escort. Very few players want to spend their time flying guard duty for hours just in case something happens. This creates an illogical situation where the players producing the economy are taking the largest risks. We are not producing the economy by any means either. It's all NPCs still. So I think he's coping a little bit, thinking that we're going to have a big control over the economy. We'll see. But at the moment, I don't see anything changing very much. Maybe with 4.7, because obviously we're the only ones who are producing high quality stuff. But I feel like that's not going to be the case forever. That imbalance just doesn't hurt individual players. It threatens the long-term health of the game. Sandbox, but here's the thing that he's ignoring, is that those guys who it's called suicide ganking, they do the math equation and try and figure out what you have and if it's worth it or not to kill you, because you're going to lose a lot as well. Those players make HiSec and the EVE economy that he claims is so good work. Because if in HiSec you can just make money without any risk at all forever, and you can make a decent amount of money in HiSec because of, I don't know, abyssals or some mining, things like that, or making money outside of HiSec and bringing it there to sell, these gankers actually save the economy in many ways, because that risk existing is still very important. You are safe most of the time. I have been floating around in HiSec, flying around, doing missions for days, for the last few days, not even looking, just walking away, because I know that my ship is so small, such little value. I'm only doing cargo hauling missions that it's not worth a ganker killing me, so they won't, right? But I'm not making any money. I'm just kind of messing around, learning how all that stuff works. But the idea that you can be killed in high sec is very important to Eve's economy. If anybody has Eve Online, I dare you to go look at how many ships were killed in Jeddah today, which is the most. It is the trade hub of the game. It is a 1.0 high sec system. It is the safest place you could be. And ships are dying there constantly. Could be because of war stuff, but most of the time, it's not. If those players decide the risk is not worth it and leave, the economy shrinks. I mean, that's true. So it's got to be a balance, but it can't be fully I live forever and never die. And it can't be I get killed all the time. When the economy shrinks, the easiest targets disappear. When the easy targets disappear, the griefers leave too. I would just call them pirates, PvPers. The griefer comment is always going to get you ignored by legitimate players who are playing the game legitimately. So just don't do that. That's dumb. Because everything he writes here is valid and worth it. But the moment you write that, everyone's just going to ignore your statement. By the time the game reaches 1.0, losses will matter much more. Ships, cargo, and time investment will all become more meaningful. We hope. But the other part of the coin here is getting killed. They talked about cargo insurance. They talked about all the insurance on everything. Okay? So the direction CIG is going is you will get killed. You will lose your time, and you might lose some of your ore or whatever that you gathered, but you're never going to lose your ship. You're never going to lose your weapons. You're never going to lose your components. Oh, your fluffy plushie is going to be right in the chair where you left it. All your armor, all your ammo, everything is going to be there with a click of a button, right? No risk is not good either. What Eve specializes in is that, so what, I lost my ship. I click a few buttons and I have another one back with not that much of a cost, right? You know, if you're going crazy and flying ships that you can't afford to lose, like if I have very little money and I'm flying the equivalent of an Idris in EVE Online, then of course I'm going to get the punishment I deserve. But if I'm flying ships that I can afford, it doesn't matter, right? Ships or ammo is a common thing that's said in EVE Online. So he claims that EVE is good, but he's also missing why EVE is good. By the time the game reaches 1.0, piracy should absolutely exist as part of the identity of the game, like Star Citizen. It's not just the identity of the game. It's the balance of the economy that you claim will not be balanced by piracy. Very, very important. But piracy works only when it comes with real risk and meaningful consequences for both parties. Otherwise, it stops being piracy and it becomes cost-free disruption, which is currently what we have in many cases. An economy that punishes producers and barely punishes attackers cannot sustain itself forever. If the balance does not change, the long-term outcome is predictable. Fewer traders, fewer miners, fewer targets, and eventually a much emptier universe. This has 849 upvotes. And I believe rightfully so. But I think we're missing the point here a little bit. Is the people who are acting out in the way that they're acting out are acting out in that way, I believe, and I've heard them say this before, almost exclusively because the experience is out of balance. There is no risk for you losing. There is no risk for you backspacing. There's no risk for you self-destructing. There's no risk for you dying to a PvPer outside of a little bit of your time and maybe some credits. None. No risk. You need to have risk and difficulty in PvE too. Everything is such a cakewalk that when someone gets ganked, they're so shocked. That's true as well. But he is right. PvPers also don't have that risk. So the thing is pirates get annoyed because the real griefer here in a lot of cases, is the player who backspaces. They're abusing a game mechanic that provides no risk, that allows them to not be pirated and move on or whatever, and not provide the pirate with the um, challenge of trying to board and actually pirate you, right? So that's what they feel. I'm just speaking from their perspective. But it's both ways. It's both ways, and that's very, very important to understand. It's not just one way. It is definitely both ways. Thank you, Teufel. I appreciate it. It definitely goes both ways. So that is very important to understand here, and that's why Eve works. In high sec, you're at risk. In low sec, you're at insane risk. In wormholes, insane risk. In null sec, none. But then there's also wars, and you have some risk, right? So you're able to produce like crazy out there, but also people have the ability to just drop on you instantly. Those are things that can't happen in high sec, stuff like that. Bubbles and all sorts of stuff exist in null sec. So there's a lot more big fights in null, but they're not really. The risks are different. The risks are to these like big macro groups, not necessarily to individuals as much. So, but regardless, everybody is being killed in every area of the game. Everybody is losing something in every area of the game. But he is absolutely right. And I will tell you this, every pirate I've ever talked to wants their life to be more difficult. Every pirate would sign off and upvote this post because they agree with you. They don't want to be called griefers. They want to be called pirates because that's what they are. Griefers are griefers, pirates are pirates. They're two different things. But they will back you on this post because they agree. The risk needs to be there. Now, they told us that they want that risk to be there. They haven't made it yet. And this post continues to push the narrative that I want to see, which is keep the pressure on CIG. It is CIG's fault that we don't have the risks to pirates because they haven't prioritized them, right? Period. It's on CIG and no one else. But interesting post. Doesn't really quite understand why Eve is so good based on what he wrote up here. But yeah, it's good. Good game. Fun game. Star Citizen has the chance to be just as fun. But they have to address insurance because he's talking about producers. You're not going to be a producer if there isn't loss, if there isn't risk for both sides. And that's the most important thing.